What's up, everybody? Welcome to Personality General Hospital. I'm Dr. FJ from the clinic. Today we're going to be looking at the question, what if I feel like, or if I'm testing as being like 50-50 when it comes to my personality. Usually it's like 50% thinking, 50% feeling, 50% J, 50% P. And it might not be an issue with the test. It might be like you yourself are like, I don't know. I feel like I am equally thinking and feeling. How am I supposed to know what personality type I am, which is my preference? The reason that this happens and the reason why it can be so difficult to see what our own preferences are, it's because we all use everything. We use thinking and feeling, we use intuition and sensing. We're all a little introverted, a little extroverted, we're a little judging, a little perceiving. Think of it like this. If you are right-handed, that doesn't mean you don't have a left hand. In fact, you use your left hand a lot if you're right-handed. It's just like certain tasks, you're left-handed, not so well suited. I cannot write to save my life with my left hand. However, in other tasks like playing guitar, my left hand is better than my right hand for, playing the frets. Or when it comes to typing on a keyboard, my two hands are equally skilled. But when push comes to shove in a situation where I'm trying to do something that requires dexterity, I'm not gonna trust my left hand, at least without the help of the right hand. It always comes down to this bad boy right here, Johnny McGee. That's my right hand's name. Bobby McGee's brother. And this is Chaz McGee. It's the same thing with any of this personality stuff. With intuition and sensing, you have to use both every day. And there are many situations where you may use your non-preferred function. If you are an intuitive, there may be situations where you have to use sensing. You don't really have a choice, and you're good at using sensing in those situations. But when it comes down to it, the intuition is always going to be your fallback. When the times are tough, when the chips are down, you're like, okay, intuition, it's go time. And what makes it especially this is so funny. What makes it most especially difficult to figure out your preferences is that they are so obvious to you that you're not thinking about it. When you have to do something against your preferences, you're very aware of it because it's like, oh crap, I gotta get this right. I gotta use this now. If you're a feeler and you're using feeling, you don't think about it. It's like, if you are right-handed and you're writing something down, you don't have to think about how to formulate the words. But if you are using your left hand, if you're right-handed, and trying to write something, you've got to be like, okay, to make an A, I do this, and then I do this. Oh crap, I messed it up. You see, you're very aware and concentrated on the one that you don't prefer, and the other one is just like afterthought, who cares? I'm doing this while I'm doing something else. All right. So what should I do, Frank? How do I know what I prefer if you're saying it's so difficult to know? Well, we got to start using some science, or whatever passes for science on this channel. What you got to do is start tracking your emotions. Now already, just your response to me saying that might give you some insight, especially if you're looking at thinking or feeling. The thinkers out there are probably like, oh, come on, man. Feelers are like, oh, feeling, cool, I can do that. Because a lot of times, not all the time, there's always exceptions to this, so that's why you got to track it and look at the trends over time. A lot of the times, if you are using your non-preferred way of making decisions or seeing the world, if you're a feeler and you're using thinking, if you're an intuitive and you're using sensing, you're gonna get a little bit irritated. You might get angry, awkward, embarrassed. You might start pointing fingers at people around you and being like, guys, I shouldn't have to do this. Or, and this is really interesting, a lot of times when we use our non-preferred functions, we end up getting really proud afterwards if it worked out okay. Like if you're right-handed and you're able to use your left hand to like write a sentence, you're gonna be like, wow, look at me, I wrote that sentence with my left hand. There's just a lot of energy and emotion surrounding the times when we are going over to that other side, that non-preferred side. Versus when we're in autopilot all the time, doing what we prefer, doing what our personality type is. So this is helpful. So when you're getting like upset, irritated, you feel embarrassed or awkward about something, stop and think to yourself, what just happened? What am I reacting to? Let's take a short break, and then in part 2, I'll go through the letter pairings and I'll point out some things that you can look for if you are 50-50 to be like, am I one, am I the other? Stay tuned. Welcome back to part 2, and be sure if you're enjoying this video to hit that thumbs up button. First of all, let's look at intuition versus sensing, just because I think that's probably the one that people struggle with the least. I think most people just assume they're intuitive and move on. If you are a sensing type, you're going to find yourself becoming a bit anxious when it comes time to make a guess about something. If someone is like, what do you think is going on here? And you find yourself more often than not just being like, I don't know, I can't prove it, I can't look to any details, so I'm not gonna guess. But maybe you find yourself in a situation where you have to guess what's gonna happen next, why are these things happening, and you start to like get the beating of the heart, you get flustered, you get like me right now, I can barely talk. That might be a sign you prefer sensing. Intuitives, on the other hand, gonna get very stressed out when it's like, okay, I'm in charge of the details right now, and I gotta get them all correct. I gotta get all my ducks in a row, all the facts straight. This is really important. Pay attention. Like, you know, me as a doctor, if in real life, I would not make a good doctor because I would always be freaked out and double, triple checking all these things about like, am I gonna accidentally kill this person? Is there some detail that I am missing here? Not to say intuitives can't be doctors, but I'm just saying that is an example. Another example would just be like, you get stuff wrong factually, you miss details all the time. Pretty good sign that you might prefer intuition. Okay, now let's take a step backwards and look at introvert versus extrovert, which is a little bit different, I'll be honest with you. As I've said many times before, the whole introvert-extrovert dichotomy with Myers-Briggs 16 personalities is not the most useful thing in the world, unless you pair it with the last letter of the type. I'm talking about the temperaments. If you haven't seen my video about the 4 temperaments of the 16 personalities, that is an eye-opening video, if I do say so myself. Check it out in the card above my head. Whoa! Introvert versus extrovert can be tough. If you are 50-50 on that, it's entirely possible that you are just like an ambivert. Actually, most people are ambiverts, which is gonna make this one like just dicey all around. But occasionally some people are like, I changed. Like I used to be an introvert and now I'm an extrovert. So what I would say in that circumstance is, did you really change in terms of introversion, extroversion, or did you just gain confidence? Did you happen to just be shy before? You had fear surrounding social interactions and now you've kind of worked through that, you're over it, and now you enjoy talking to people. That's not really getting more extroverted, that is just kind of developing your social skills. Take fear out of the equation, because if you are saying, I avoid social situations because I'm afraid of them, because I'm afraid of people's judgment, that is not really introversion. That's being shy. That could be social anxiety, not a doctor. But Frank, you're in a doctor outfit. How can I trust you? You're clearly in a clinic. But yeah, take the fear out of the equation and ask yourself, would I actually like to hang out with people, do parties and things? Would that theoretically be something I'd enjoy if I wasn't afraid of people judging me or afraid of embarrassing myself? If you are an introvert, you still will be like, that just is gonna make me exhausted, let's avoid it. If you're an extrovert, you're gonna be like, actually, that seems like fun. Now we go to thinking versus feeling. I gotta say, this is probably one of the biggest things I see people say is 50-50 when they test for this stuff. This stuff being what I talk about on this channel all the time. When you get those upset and anxious and irritable feelings, can you attribute it to a decision that you had to make? Or maybe to a decision that someone else made, but you were affected by it? Because the thinking types are going to be getting weird about it. There's going to be a lot of energy around decisions that they had to make or that they were a part of that were made using feeling, using the emotion, or just like using the value of things. It's like the decision didn't necessarily make sense, but everyone thought it was good, like it would be a cool idea, or maybe everyone just said, we would like this to happen. Or maybe it's you yourself, you feel weird because it's like, I made a decision based purely on how I felt, and that I don't think that I can stand on that ground. I'm not sure about it. I feel weird and insecure about that. Feelers, on the other hand, you guessed it, you're getting upset and agitated and whatever because you made a decision or were involved in a decision where a logical thing was chosen rather than the thing that was emotionally appropriate or socially valuable. The feelers get very upset when it's like, you know, this decision was made, all these people made this decision, or I had to make this decision just because that's what made sense. But you know what? It's gonna make people upset, and I don't like that. That ain't right. Or it could also be like, this is against like the group's values or my values. Feeling types are like, no, the people's feelings and my feelings, that is more important. And you know, I don't care if the thing gets done, because we got to feel good about it. So start tracking your emotions around those decisions. Then we come to the judging or perceiving at the end of a type, J versus P. This is another one where I see all the time, it's like 50-50, what am I? This one in particular is a bit difficult because, you know, the general gist of it is the J types, the judging types are organized, they like to be planned out, they like to have finality in things. The P types like to always have new things, they like to be spontaneous, they like to keep their options open, and that is generally true, but everyone kind of does both, even here. J types, for example, can sometimes be spontaneous in certain ways. A J type is not going to have every minute of every day planned out. However, over time and with the stuff that they perceive to be the most important, the things that they are focused in on, they will be very planned out, very organized and controlling. Perhaps even to the point where they let other things get out of control. And you're kind of just trying to figure this out on a spectrum. Like, how do I compare to all the people around me? Am I more organized than these people over here? Am I less organized than these people? You're gonna fall somewhere in the middle of the people you know, and you gotta ask yourself, am I preferring to be more organized or less organized? What do I feel more comfortable with? And the perceiving types are not just like always spontaneous. You know, I like to make the jokes about the ENFPs who are they're taking a trip overseas and they don't plan it till the day before, or they don't even plan it at all. The perceiving types will occasionally do things like that, but they will also plan things out to a degree. But they'll do a lot less planning than the J type. So you gotta look at it in relativity. So you can also track the emotions here. When you have to like stop and plan something out, when you have to stop and get the organization right for something, does that make you feel weird? Or does that just seem like obvious? Yeah, I gotta do this, whatever. If you stick to a routine and you go back to the same old stuff over and over, does that seem obvious to you? Like, yeah, of course that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stick with the tried and true here. Or does that seem like a drag, something that's been forced on you in order to, you know, just function in society? When you try new things, when you are spontaneous, when you're just going with the flow, does that feel obvious to you or not? Thanks so much for watching. Check out another video here about how the 16 personalities learn. Or check out the whole playlist right here and pick another video to watch. And until next time, stay cool and attractive.